This case is far from over.
I'm terrified. This could happen next door to my house, in my neighborhood. Like, my wife sits regularly in between the two houses.
With Hugo's trial approaching and investigators still combing through every piece of evidence,
This girl deserves justice. Whatever justice can be given in this world, she deserves it.
we may only be seeing the tip of something much darker. So what do you think? Was Dacara his only victim? Or are there more waiting to be uncovered? Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for updates as this story develops, and share this video so more people can see the truth behind this chilling case. Because the answers are only just beginning to surface.
My heart goes out to her family. I can't even imagine. I have a daughter myself, and I can't even imagine the grief that they're going through right now.
He wasn't supposed to be free. Hugo Hernandez Mendez, a man with a rap sheet of DUIs, reckless driving, and even a suspended license. A man who doesn't think the law applies to him. Yet somehow he was still walking the streets. And that's when everything spiraled into horror. On the night of August 22nd, 19-year-old Dacara Thompson told her father she was just stepping out for gas. She had a full tank, she had her car, yet she willingly got into Hugo's vehicle. Why? What did he say to convince her? What was the connection? These are the chilling questions haunting her family. But it gets worse. Hours later, her family tried calling. No answer. Her location suddenly gone. By the next morning, her car was found abandoned. Her purse, her phone, her ID all left behind. It was like she had stepped straight into a trap and vanished. And that's not all. Neighbors claim Hugo wasn't acting alone. One neighbor saw something burning in his backyard that night. Something that smelled far worse than trash. Was he destroying evidence? It gets crazier. Inside his room, detectives uncovered what could be the most disturbing clue of all. Items that suggest Dacara might not have been his only victim. Inside that small house where Hugo lived, secrets were waiting to be uncovered. Police began questioning the people who shared walls with him the night Dacara was taken. And what they heard was horrific. One roommate admitted they overheard Hugo and Dacara in his room. At first, it sounded like intimacy. But then the noises changed. Strange grunts, uneasy sounds, the kind of noises that make you question if someone was fighting for their life. And that's not all. When this roommate woke up later that night, Hugo's GMC was gone. A truck that almost never left its spot, suddenly missing in the middle of the night. Suspicious? That's an understatement. But it gets worse. Other roommates, they claimed they heard nothing. They insisted they knew nothing. Really? A brutal struggle, a detached fingernail, a young woman fighting for her life, and no one noticed a thing? Are they covering this up? Why? This is crazy. Even Hugo's own cousin, who lived under the same roof, admitted something was off. She said Hugo had been acting strange, barely around, hiding in the shadows. She even begged him to come clean if he knew something. But here's the haunting question. Were these housemates just innocent bystanders or silent accomplices protecting themselves from the truth? On August 31st, the nightmare became real. Just before 5 p.m., troopers responded to a call about a car on Route 50 in Annapolis. But what they found was far worse than a broken down vehicle. Down a 30-foot embankment, beneath a small bridge over the South River, lay a body. Bruised, broken, discarded like trash. And tragically, it was Dacara. Her family was called in days later, and investigators matched her remains using tattoos, jewelry, and heartbreaking photographs her loved ones provided. But the condition of her body told a story too horrifying to ignore. Severe skull fractures, facial injuries, evidence of a brutal, violent attack. And that's not all. The reality sank in as her father, who had last seen her alive on August 22nd, realized those final words she said, "I'll be right back," would never come true. But that's not all. Her family had tried to track her phone through the Find My Phone app, desperately clinging to hope. They found her car abandoned near Jasmine Terrace and Riggs Road. Her phone switched off, her purse and ID left behind. She was gone, but the signs of foul play were right there, staring everyone in the face. And it gets crazier. Police searching Hugo's room uncovered blood, a fingernail ripped from Dacara's hand, and women's underwear that didn't even belong to her. For detectives, it wasn't just about one victim anymore. This was the kind of evidence that whispered a terrifying possibility. Dacara might not have been the first, and she might not be the last. If you want the truth about cases like this exposed, make sure to hit subscribe, drop a comment with your thoughts, and share this so more people know what really happened. When police finally closed in on Hugo Hernandez Mendez, the community breathed a sigh of relief. But the question everyone was asking was simple. Why was this man free in the first place? Hugo wasn't some clean-cut, law-abiding citizen. Far from it. His record was littered with DUIs, reckless driving, open container violations, even driving on a suspended license. Time and time again, he was caught endangering lives on the road. And yet, every single time, he walked away. No real punishment, no accountability. And that's not all. His behavior behavior was more than reckless. It screamed arrogance, blowing red lights, ignoring stop signs, weaving through traffic like rules didn't apply to him. But it gets worse. This wasn't just careless driving. It was a flashing red warning sign about a man who believed laws couldn't touch him. A man who felt untouchable. And tragically, he proved just how dangerous that mindset was. It gets crazier. Dacara's mother herself spoke out, furious that Hugo was allowed to roam free. She said if authorities had done their job, if they had kept him behind bars where he belonged, her daughter might still be alive today. Her voice cracked with grief, but her words carried fire. Because this wasn't just about Hugo anymore. It was about a system that ignored the warning signs until it was too late. And now, the world is left asking, how many chances did Hugo get before he finally took a life? As investigators dug deeper, the story took a darker turn, because what they found in Hugo's room suggested Dacara Thompson may not have been his only victim. Hidden among the blood and broken evidence were multiple pairs of women's underwear and lingerie. Not Dacara's. Belonging to who? That's the haunting question. Were they trophies, souvenirs from other victims, or proof that something much bigger is hiding beneath the surface? But here's the twist. Neighbors had already started whispering about connections to other missing women in the area. Cases that had gone cold. Lives that had simply vanished without answers. The chilling part is these weren't just wild rumors. The community had seen disappearances before. Now, with Hugo's arrest, those whispers carried real weight. Suddenly, a predator hiding in plain sight didn't seem like a theory. It felt like reality. But what nobody expected was this. Suspicion wasn't only aimed at Hugo. People began questioning the housemates, because if Dacara fought back, and the evidence shows she did, how could no one hear her? How could no one intervene? The most disturbing detail, the silence inside that house, paired with the evidence inside Hugo's room, paints a terrifying picture. This wasn't just one tragic case. It could be the beginning of something far more sinister. As the investigation unraveled, the internet lit up with theories, rumors, and finger-pointing. But one narrative hit the Thompson family the hardest. Claims that Dacara was somehow to blame for what happened to her. Strangers online whispered that she might have been selling herself, that she was living recklessly. But here's the truth. Her mother shut that down with fire in her voice. She described Dacara as an outgoing, soft-spoken, kind young woman. A free spirit who loved life, not the reckless figure being painted by faceless comments. And here's the heartbreaking part. While the family was mourning, they also had to defend her dignity against strangers who never even knew her. The twist? These online rumors weren't just cruel. They distracted from the real danger. A predator with a violent past was still at the center of it all. Why weren't people focused on him? Why was the victim the one on trial in the court of public opinion? What nobody expected was how Dacara's mom responded. She asked for grace. She begged people not to believe everything they see or hear online, and to respect her daughter's memory. The most chilling reality? While people argued about Dacara's character, the evidence in Hugo's room hinted at something bigger. Other women, other victims. And if that's true, then this case is only scratching the surface of a nightmare far darker than anyone imagined. By now, the case had gone beyond just one tragedy, because the more people talked, the more it seemed Dacara Thompson might not have been Hugo's only victim. The chilling part? Locals whispered about other missing women in the area, cases that had slipped through the cracks, families left with no answers. Now, with the discovery of lingerie and underwear that didn't belong to Dacara, those whispers turned into something far more terrifying, possible proof. But here's where it gets darker. In a community already rattled by disappearances, Hugo's arrest didn't bring comfort. It brought fear. Fear that they had been living next door to a predator for years. Fear that the evidence inside his room might unlock a trail of victims far longer than anyone expected. What nobody saw coming was the speculation that his housemates could know more than they're admitting. Because if Dacara fought, if she screamed, if the struggle was as violent as investigators believe, how could an entire house remain silent? Were they protecting themselves, or hiding a truth too dangerous to admit? The most disturbing question of all, just how many women could be identified from the evidence Hugo left behind? Was Dacara the first, or just the latest in a chain of victims nobody connected until now? If you think this case could be bigger than anyone realizes, hit subscribe, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this video, because the truth might still be out there. For the community, Dacara's death wasn't just a tragedy, it was a wake-up call. Because if Hugo could do this once, who's to say he hasn't done it before? Or worse, who's to say he wouldn't have done it again? The unsettling part? Neighbors admitted they were already suspicious of him. They remembered his reckless driving, his unpredictable behavior, and the way he carried himself like rules didn't matter. But after the discovery of Dacara's body, those old suspicions turned into outright fear. People began asking how many women's stories had ended the same way, without anyone realizing. But here's where it gets even scarier. Some locals believe the lingerie and underwear found in Hugo's room weren't random at all. They looked like trophies, like receipts of crimes that had gone undetected. And in a neighborhood already scarred by disappearances, this was enough to send panic through every household. What nobody can shake off is the silence of the housemates. Were they truly clueless? Or were they terrified of what Hugo might do if they spoke up? The haunting reality? Until investigators go through every shred of evidence, the community will keep looking over their shoulders, wondering if justice has been served, or if this is just the beginning of a much darker story. As the investigation moves forward, one thing is clear: this case is far from over. Hugo Hernandez Mendez sits behind bars with no bond, waiting for his next court date on October 8th. But while the legal process grinds on, the questions only grow louder. The most pressing question: how much did his phone reveal? Investigators have it in their possession, and rumors suggest the contents are chilling. Could it hold proof of other victims? Conversations that expose his darkest secrets? Or evidence that ties him directly to other disappearances in the area? But here's the unnerving part. While Hugo remains locked away, the people who lived with him are still free. Some insist they heard nothing. Others admit they noticed strange noises. One even confessed to seeing his truck on that night. Yet none of them acted until it was too late. Were they scared? Were they protecting Hugo? Or were they protecting themselves? What nobody expected was the community's reaction. Many are calling for those housemates to face charges as accessories, because if Dacara was fighting for her life just feet away, the silence of that house may have cost her everything. The most disturbing reality: until the trial begins, until every piece of evidence is laid bare, nobody knows how deep Hugo's crimes truly run. And for a neighborhood haunted by missing women, that uncertainty is enough to keep them up at night. The deeper investigators dig, the more terrifying this case becomes, because hidden inside Hugo Hernandez Mendez's room weren't just clues about Dacara, but possible evidence of others. Multiple pairs of underwear, lingerie, items that didn't belong to her. And here's the horrifying thought: each piece could be linked to another missing woman. The most unsettling part: authorities are now working to identify whether those items connect to open cases in the area. DNA testing, phone records, digital forensics, it could all expose just how far Hugo's crimes really go. If even one more victim is tied to him, this won't just be a murder case. It will be the unraveling of a serial predator hiding in plain sight. But here's where the fear spreads. For families of missing women in the community, every day feels like waiting for a phone call, waiting to hear if their daughter, sister, or mother is among the evidence, waiting for closure or confirmation of the unthinkable. The chilling reality: Dacara may not be the beginning or the end. And until every unanswered question is solved, the community will be haunted by one terrifying possibility: that Hugo wasn't just a killer, but a monster with more victims than anyone dares to imagine. This case is far from over. With Hugo's trial approaching and investigators still combing through every piece of evidence, we may only be seeing the tip of something much darker. So what do you think? Was Dacara his only victim? Or are there more waiting to be uncovered? Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for updates as this story develops, and share this video so more people can see the truth behind this chilling case, because the answers are only just beginning to surface.